Howdy folks, time to stop teasing and assemble this classic World War II warbird, the Spitfire from Dynam. It's 1200mm wingspan, 47 inch, runs on 2200 3-cell, just a 20C, which is nice and mild, which gives you long flight times and a nice light plane that'll be easy to fly, I'm sure. Sent to me by Banggood, so thanks Banggood for giving me the chance to play around with this one. Purchase links in the description as usual. Alright, let's open it up and have a look. Okay, here's all the bits and pieces, and it's one of the simplest assemblies possible. The wings just fit together on a wing spar. The tail group just slots together and slots into the rear of the fuselage, couple of screws underneath, little canopy, nice big hatch to get access inside there, pilot, a couple of props, couple of gun details. We've got rudder and elevator servos already in position. It comes with a Dean's connector, but I've changed that to an XT60. Exhaust detail there, prop spinner goes on the front. Now you hardly need any glue, you just need to glue the canopy on and glue the control horns into the elevator and rudder. The rudder hinge seems a bit delicate to me, but a bit of blend-on tape on that or a bit of glue on it, something like that will strengthen it up. I'll build it as is anyway and see how we go. Now I did notice on the wings we've got the retracts, we've got elevator servos already installed, and we've got provision for flaps too, so they're all already cut positions for the servos, which is great. Now the control horns are glued in. I noticed on this elevator it's not securely glued in, so I'm going to have to re-glue that one to make sure it's secure. And just 4 screws to mount the wings onto the bottom of the fuselage, and that's all there is. Really nice set of bright decals, and the standard Dynam set of decals as well that comes with every plane, I think. Basic instruction manual for the ESC and the assembly. Tail wheel, steerable tail wheel that just gets clamped into the little spot there. So let's start with that, and that's just a 1.5mm hex wrench needed to tighten up that little grub screw. Make sure it's tightening up onto the little flat on the shaft. Now the rudder or vertical stabilizer slots into the horizontal stabilizer, which mounts on the rear of the fuselage. And just a couple of 20mm screws to hold all of that on. That all looks reasonably solid. I have to trust that for the moment. Now I decided to strengthen the rudder hinge before we started. It seemed to be tearing a little bit there, so a thin smear of hot glue on that bottom area and up on the top as well. That'll stop it from tearing. Just make sure you scrape away as much glue as possible. Now using 5mm epoxy to glue the control horns on. This is the elevator. Same for the rudder. And same for that aileron. It is an aileron, not an elevator, as I was saying before. And seeing I've got the epoxy out, I'm going to use it to glue the pilot in and the canopy cover as well. Now to assemble the wings, and it's just a matter of sliding them both onto the wing spar, and that's a nice tight fit. And then passing the servo and retract wires up through the bottom of the fuselage. I can fit it on, make sure it seats properly. And then 4 screws to hold that on. Takes a bit of wiggling to line up the screws properly, but works okay once you do that. Now fitting the linkage adjusters to the elevator and rudder, and I didn't find these in the box for some reason, but I had plenty of my own, and I'm using little M2 lock nuts to make sure that they don't come off. Wiggle with a servo tester just because it's fun. Now fitting the prop, and I found that prop assembly is actually touching the engine cowl, so I needed to sand that down a little bit to make sure it clears it properly. Screwing the spinner on. Now this aerial worries me. I work in an eye hospital as a medical photographer, and that to me was an eye injury waiting to happen, so I decided to forego the scale look and cut it down and round it off a little bit, just to save my eyesight. And hot glued the cannons in as well. Now time to bring it to life, connecting it up to the receiver, plug in the battery, get the retracts working, and first off only one retract came down, but I just kept playing with it, and eventually they both freed up. There we go, they're working well now. Checking the direction of my throws, and my ailerons need a bit of adjustment. They're both going the same way, so I need to reverse the left hand one. Now the current draw test, and it is drawing about maximum of 25 amps and seemed to give heaps of thrust just on a 3S, so that'll be fun. Fitting the decals, they look great, I reckon. So there we have the Dynam Spitfire, gorgeous looking warbird, all ready to go.